I'm back, man.
And what does that mean for the electoral map? Donald Trump has 230 electoral votes. He is 40 electoral votes away from winning. Kamala Harris has 165 electoral votes. She is 105 electoral votes away from winning. Let's see what the states we have not called, where their vote counts are. Pennsylvania. Donald Trump is in the lead there with 51.2% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 47.7% of the vote. Donald Trump is ahead of her by more than 206,000 votes. That's with 83% of the estimated vote in. That's Pennsylvania. Battleground Michigan, Donald Trump up 51.3% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 46.9% of the vote. Donald Trump with a more than 111,000 vote lead with an estimated 44% of the vote in from Michigan. Wisconsin now, Donald Trump in the lead there too. 50.8% of the vote. Kamala Harris is 47.6% of the vote. Donald Trump almost 80,000 votes ahead of her with 3/4 of the vote, 74% of the estimated vote from the Badger State in. Battleground Georgia, Donald Trump is up 50.7%. Kamala Harris is 48.4%. Donald Trump more than 118,000 votes ahead of her with an estimated 93% of the estimated vote in. Arizona, Donald Trump is ahead there too with 49.8% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 49.3% of the vote. He is more than 7,500 votes ahead of her right now, but they still have about 48% of the vote to count, 52% of the estimated vote in. In Nevada, Donald Trump is in the lead with 73% of the vote. Kamala Harris has 26.2% of the vote. Donald Trump has a more than 10,000 vote, almost 11,000 vote lead. That is with only 2% of the estimated vote in. As we follow these crucial undecided races, we are all already also getting closer to another poll closing. 4 more electoral votes are at stake in the next hour in the heat of the battle to reach 270. So every electoral vote counts. We're just minutes away from voting ending in the reliably blue state of Hawaii. Over to John King now at the Magic Wall. John.
So Jake, a quick look. You just went through the numbers. Just want to look very quickly. These 3 states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, will determine the fate of the Harris campaign, whether there's any chance that she can come back. As we wait to see those results, I just want to show you something. Bring it up. Remember January 6th. Donald Trump was finished. Even Republicans were running away from Donald Trump. Donald Trump is done as a national politician. I want to show you something. This is Trump overperforming his 2020 performance by 3% or more, right? This is statewide. We're not done with some of these counts out here, so this will change a little bit. But Donald Trump overperforming 2020 after January 6, 2021. That's the statewide vote. Look at this. Just look at this when you go to full counts. Look at how many counties across America, 994 of the 4,000 plus, 4,600 plus counties and townships, especially up this way, part of the country, they don't call them counties, they call them townships, but in nearly 1,000, 993 right now. This will change as we go through, but Donald Trump is overperforming, and look at where they are. He's mostly performing in red areas. His vote is getting higher in the areas where he wins elections. Yes, there are some blue places where he's overperforming, but just look at battleground Pennsylvania. Look at all these red counties, places that Trump wins, where he's overperforming by 3% or more what he did in 2020. Then you come out here, let's go up to battleground Michigan. These are the decisive states left on the board right now. Look at in the areas, those are his base areas. He's getting more. The same over here in battleground Wisconsin. So the former president of the United States, given up for dead, Jake, after January 6, 2021, is running stronger now than he did in the last campaign.
All right, John King, thank you so much. Every electoral vote counts, and 4 more are on the line right now as polling places are about to close in Hawaii, and we project Kamala Harris will win the state of Hawaii with its 4 electoral votes. Not a surprise, Hawaii, a reliably Democratic vote, but that doesn't mean a pickup of 4 electoral votes for Kamala Harris. Donald Trump has 230. He is 40 votes away from winning. Kamala Harris has 169 electoral votes. She is 101 votes away from the 270 needed to win. John King.
So Jake, let's look at the map where we are right now, and then we'll go through some of these battleground states where we're still waiting. But just look at the map right now. You see a lot of red, right? So let's look at the 2020 map. You see the blue, right? The blue wall states, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, right? Now watch, this is where we are now. 2024 looks a lot different than 2020. But at the moment, looks pretty similar to 2016. Donald Trump won the blue wall. Donald Trump won North Carolina. Donald Trump won Georgia. Donald Trump won Arizona. The only difference would be Hillary Clinton in 2016 did carry Nevada. Donald Trump leads there right now when you come back to 2024. But it's just, sorry, 2024. Let me come up here, do this, hit this, and you go there at 2024. So that's the one, it's just a dramatic change when you come here. And so Donald Trump is remaking the map again at the moment. And the question is there any way for Harris to come back? Again, we've given Donald Trump North Carolina. So let's see where we are in Georgia. If Donald Trump also carries Georgia, the vice president cannot afford to lose Pennsylvania. Yes, Nevada's out there, Arizona's out there, Michigan and Wisconsin are out there. 19. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So can she come back in Georgia to stop that from happening? So she's limiting her. If he wins Georgia, her path is so limited. So it's 118,000 votes right now. In a state decided 4 years ago by 11,700 votes, Donald Trump with 93%. That's an important number. The vote counted is ahead by nearly 120,000 votes. So you're looking, this is where they would have to be. You can pick up votes elsewhere, but that's where most of the votes are. That's close to half of the state population, right in Atlanta and the metropolitan area around it. So what's out there? Are there live outstanding votes out there? Well, let's take a look. The answer is yes. Let me get rid of the coloring so you don't have to see that. The answer is yes, they're out there. You're at the point now where you're talking about drawing to an inside straight flush. Essentially, you need these votes to come in overwhelming numbers for you. But you do see there's the mathematical possibility. This is why the Harris campaign is on the phone. This is why I assume Donald Trump has not come out yet to say anything, because he's hoping that this one comes off the board as well. You're looking at the math right there. It's possible. So we're waiting for more votes in Georgia. So then you come up, Jake, and we'll look at the blue wall states in a minute to see if any of the math is changing. But if you look at the map right now, you would so much rather be Donald Trump than the vice president.
All right, and we have a projection, John. CNN can project, that Kamala Harris will win the Commonwealth of Virginia. Commonwealth of Virginia, with its 13 electoral votes, will go to the Democrat Vice President Kamala Harris. What does that mean for the electoral math? Let's take a look. With 270 electoral votes needed to win, Donald Trump is only 40 behind that with 230. Kamala Harris has 182 electoral votes. Let's bring you a key race alert. Where are we with all the states that we have not projected yet? Pennsylvania, Donald Trump in the lead, 51.3% of the vote. Kamala Harris, 47.6% of the vote. Donald Trump has a more than 213,000 vote lead over her with 84% of the estimated vote in from Pennsylvania. In battleground Michigan, Donald Trump up there, 51.2% of the vote. Kamala Harris is 47% of the vote. Donald Trump with a 107,294 vote lead over Harris, but there's still about 55% of the vote that has not been counted in Michigan. A lot of votes to count in Michigan. Wisconsin now, Donald Trump 51% of the vote, Kamala Harris 47.4%. Donald Trump with a more than 92,000 vote lead over Harris. That's with more than 3/4 of the votes counted in Wisconsin, 77% of the vote. In battleground Georgia, Donald Trump up 50.7% to Harris's 48.4%. Donald Trump with a 118,838 vote lead over Harris, with 93% of the estimated vote in. In battleground Arizona, Donald Trump up 49.8% to Harris's 49.3%. Donald Trump with a 9,600 plus vote lead. That's with slightly more than half of the vote counted in Arizona, 52%. In Nevada, Donald Trump up 73% to Harris's 26.2% of the vote. Donald Trump with an almost 11,000 vote lead. But that is, again, with only 2% of the estimated vote in Nevada counted. Still a lot of votes to count in Nevada. John?
So, Jake, let's look at, right now, you're looking at the big map, and you're seeing all that red. Yes, Virginia, we just projected for the vice president. That one's blue. I'll take a closer look in a minute at that one. But you're looking at the blue wall states. Essentially, Harris's only path is to come back in these 3 states right there. I can give you a conceivable possibility where she only has to come back in 2 of them, but she has to come back in all 3 of them. Have a reasonable path to 270 electoral votes, and it's a problem at the moment, 168,000 votes. I'm told more votes just recently came in Philadelphia, and indeed they did. So now you're up to 76% estimate. This can change a little bit as more votes come in. But you see that, the vice president opening a healthy lead in Philadelphia, which is a building block of a Democratic win in Pennsylvania. The question is it enough? I just showed you Trump was leading. So 78%, 477,000 votes. If you go back 4 years ago, it's 81%, and it's 603,000 votes. Remember that, 81 and 603. 78 and 477. Can she move both numbers up when we get the final quarter of the vote? That's the challenge, because you need that math, forgive me, to overcome that. 168,000 votes in a state that was decided by 80,000 votes 4 years ago and 40,000 votes 4 years before that. That is a big lead in a tight state like Pennsylvania with 85% of the vote. So you're saying, is it just Philadelphia and the suburbs where there are outstanding votes? Again, if you're joining us late, the larger the circle, the more votes that are still outstanding to be counted, the color, the way the candidate, who's winning in that area at the moment. And so you still do right here, Philadelphia, Delaware County, Chester County, Montgomery County. There's still some math to be done there. A little bit out there in Allegheny County, where we talked to Brian Todd earlier in the night. A little bit up in Erie County, which is a swing county. Tends to be very close, though. So let's come back and look at this as we come through it. Number one, there are bellwether counties in Pennsylvania. Northampton is one of them, and Trump is winning with 52% of the vote right now. This county usually picks the winner in the state. As I say that, I'll say its twin is Erie, way over here, not twin geographically. It's twin in that they voted twice for Obama, then for Trump, then for Biden. Erie and Northampton, 2 of the 25 counties that did that. At the moment, the vice president is leading in Erie County. In the last campaign, it was Vigo County, Indiana. Their streak of picking the winner went off the board. We'll see if the 2 swing counties in Pennsylvania split as this election goes through. But if you're looking at this map right now, 85% of the vote, it's this. That's big. If you're looking at 50,000, 60,000, it's easier to do the math. You're looking at 168,000, the math gets hard. Is it impossible? No. But the question is, when you start coming in here, Chester County's at 81%, large suburban counties where if you get 20 or 30% of the votes still out, you can do some big math. Montgomery County at 68%. As you can see, this is a much more populous county, so you're waiting for the 30% to come in there. The vice president would have to win it gangbusters, probably higher than the percentage she's getting so far. I just want to check it against President Biden. It's a little below President Biden, which seems pretty consistent when you go through some of these areas across these states. Bucks County is this one here. Yes, I'm in the right place. That's Montgomery. Oh, Bucks has turned red. That's why I couldn't find it, because Bucks has turned red. Only 55% of the vote in. But if this is red at the end of the night, Donald Trump's going to win the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This is the more blue collar, the more competitive of the three collar counties. It's Bucks, Delaware, and Montgomery. Used to be this was solidly Democratic, and the others were Republican. The education divide has flipped that one. Montgomery and Delaware are reliably blue, but look at this. Donald Trump, only 55% of the vote in, but look at that, 50 to 49. If you do it there, you go back in time, 51, 48, 47. So Trump was competitive here. It was a 4-point race, a little more than that 4 years ago. But again, in a close battleground state, you want to move the margins, you flip a county. So let's see if that one holds as we go. If you're in the Harris campaign, that particularly makes you nervous. And then you come out here, and again, I just want to pick them randomly. This is where Trump just runs it up. Right? So you're saying, can she come back in the Philadelphia suburbs and in Philadelphia? Mathematically, you can make the case. Common sense wise, you start after a while to think, you know, he's getting 75% here, he's getting 78% here. It's a little bit of vote out there, not much, not hardly anything left there, not much left there. So his vote is mostly in. Trump's vote is mostly in when you look at the map. But the question is there really enough there? Let's see where they are here. 94% in Allegheny County. So again, you're getting 59 to 39, 20-point gap. 20-point gap. So yeah, but it's got to be a lot of votes to come in, and they say they're at 94%. So it's not impossible. I would say we're starting to lean into the improbable. And let's go over into Michigan. This is a state where the vice president was leading early on. Then Donald Trump took the lead. He takes the lead sometimes in these states when all these rural counties fill in. Look at them all. Right? And again, you just find him, and he's at 67% here, and he's at 65% here. He's at 66% plus there. Not a lot of people, but when you've got 83 counties and you're winning 60 or 70 of them, that's how it works. And he builds it up there. And then the question is, can the Democrats overcome it with huge numbers where the people live? Number one, Wayne County, we're still only at 16%. So if you're in the Harris campaign, you're saying, okay, we have almost nothing, or less than 20% from Detroit, right? So she's getting 62%. She has 88,000 votes. But Jake, if you go back to 2020, again, when Donald Trump won Michigan, he's getting 68, and he gets close to 600,000 votes. So that's sort of our test. When Wayne County gives us more votes, do we get a huge number like that? And is the split, right? Donald Trump at 30%, that's Detroit and the suburbs around it. Donald Trump right now, it's only 20%, it's less than 20%, 16%. So, but that, if he's even above 30, right? Anything he's above 30 is an improvement for him. And so we can't see it all on this map. We have to get more granular. But Detroit, is he doing better? Is Trump doing better with the black vote? Or where is overall turnout maybe down a little bit from 2020? That's a big question too. And then here you have Hamtramck and you have Dearborn. They're not on the map, but they're right here. Those are two very important pockets of Arab American voters that were 200,000 plus voted for Joe Biden 4 years ago. We don't know. We don't have that granular detail just yet, but that was one of the big questions in the campaign. Spent a lot of time on my trips, the Wayne State campus, younger voters, a lot of Arab and Muslim students at Wayne State, and a lot of young progressive students at Wayne State. Did they lose the youth vote there? A lot of the questions. Now, I'm raising questions that we'll answer in more detail tomorrow, next week, and the week after that, when we have final results. But if you're 158,000 votes ahead, only halfway in Michigan, I mean, hate to say it, but you're looking at this, and that's the best of the three blue walls.
Let's go to Wayne County right now. Let's go to Detroit, where we find Jim Sciutto as an update on the vote count there. Jim?
Jake, there have been a lot of questions and some consternation as to why we haven't seen more data from Wayne County yet. And I just spoke with the Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, and we believe we have the answer here. I asked her quite specifically. And she said the reason is that Wayne County, in part, given all the scrutiny on this county as it impacts the outcome of the election in this state, is not reporting partial results. It's waiting until it has either all or the vast majority of those results in before it, in effect, gives that batch and makes it public. And I just want to highlight one point that's going to happen in the next hour, perhaps even the next few minutes. A nondescript U-Haul van is going to drive in one of these doors behind me here with the last remaining outstanding absentee ballots in Detroit, part of Wayne County, about 4,000 we expect. That's the final batch, not just, we are told, of absentee ballots outstanding, but the final outstanding votes in Detroit, a big part of Wayne County. So when that truck comes through the door, they begin to tabulate those. That gets us to the point where they're going to have, in effect, all the votes they need to count and get to that point where they're going to be ready to report those final figures. We were told it could be in the next few minutes. We'll be watching. We'll report back when it happens. But that could be the point when you get that big batch reported publicly.
All right, Jim Sciutto in Detroit, Wayne County. And you were noting that we don't have Wayne County to the granular level, that we can't see Dearborn and other places where there were a lot of uncommitted votes during the Democratic primary. But just to remind our viewers, during the Democratic primaries, as a protest of President Biden's support for the Netanyahu government of Israel and its war on Hamas in Gaza, 100,000 Democrats voted uncommitted. As we presumably most of them as a protest vote against Biden for that issue.
Yes, absolutely. And most of them were located here in Wayne County. Again, you have Detroit, progressive city, but also Hamtramck and Dearborn, just to the north and to the west. Large pockets of Arab American communities there that are very angry at the White House. And then the next one, you come out here again. This is Washington County, where I've been 4 times, maybe 4 times, maybe 5 times, no 4, in this election. You go to the University of Michigan and talk to people out there. And again, we're at 71% right now, so the numbers can change, but she's at 66%. This is Ann Arbor, University of Michigan. Again, with a big college campus, it tends to be a very liberal pocket, progressive pocket. You're saying, wow, 65% of the vote, 66 if you round up, that's great.
Oh my God.
73%. And the math, 157,000, to 103. Again, we got 30% of the votes still to come in, and maybe the percentages change as well. Maybe all the votes that are out are from the campus, and and it juices up the number a little bit. But if you're looking at that now, you're underperforming the President of the United States, and Donald Trump's at 32% and 26%. That's if that gap holds, and if his improvement like that holds, I'm sorry, go ahead. That's a big deal.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the things you hear from the Arab American and Muslim American community in places like Michigan is not that they were going to vote for Donald Trump, but they either were not going to vote or they were going to vote for Jill Stein or Cornel West. I'm not sure if Cornel West is on the ballot in Michigan, but these numbers don't add up to 100 here. So I'm guessing that there is a better than, my guess would be, educated guess would be, there's going to be a better than average showing for Jill Stein in Michigan than in other states.
Right, and she worked it hard. She was out there quite a bit. Every trip I was out there, you saw activity, either she was in the state or just in the state.
Yeah. So just to explain it. Now, one of the other things I heard about people talking about Michigan is everybody in the media, all you talk about is the Arab American, Muslim American vote, but really the issue in terms of a big sizable, bigger chunk of votes is white working class voters, union voters, because the Trump campaign ran ads slamming Harris's position on electric vehicles, EVs, and that is actually going to be more significant. Ultimately, that was, this is just their projection, than the Arab American, Muslim American vote. Is there any way we can gauge that, how well or poorly she did compared to Biden when it comes to white, non-college educated union voters?
David would have the exit polls. We could look at union households. That's a question on the exit polls. I can show you some counties where we were. 3 times I went out there to talk to union auto worker groups. And I want to just say this up front. There are more automobile manufacturing jobs in the United States today than at any point during the Trump presidency. I repeat, there are more auto manufacturing jobs in the United States today than at any point in the Trump presidency. However, the EV debate is a debate. Stellantis just laid off 1,100 people, right? And in part because they say they have electric vehicles sitting on the lot. The union says that's BS. It's corporate greed. They're not keeping their word. But this is a conversation. Are they going too fast? At a minimum, are they going too fast? There are some auto workers who say, why are you forcing this on us? There are others saying the infrastructure is not in place. Culturally, people aren't ready for it. Why are you going so fast? So one of the places you'll find that is right here in Macomb County. We met Joseph Knowles, just laid off from Stellantis, a black union auto worker. No one in his family had ever voted Republican for president. He was voting for Donald Trump. And everybody in his family was mad at him. This is where you find them right here. Bill Govier is another Ford worker in Macomb County who wanted to vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. When he dropped out and backed Trump, Bill Govier said, that's great. I love them both. And he voted for Trump a 3rd time. So some of them have been in Trump's camp, like a Bill Govier. But Joseph Knowles is a +1, voted Democrat all his life, right? So there in Macomb County, we got a long way to go here, 36%. But Trump at 58, when you round that up, Trump at 53 right there. So again, we'll see if that sustains itself.
Yeah.
And the Biden number at 45, the Harris number at 40. If that's the number at the end, then
Yeah.
very hard.
Well, there you go. And you can see why not all of that changes from that one issue or that one demographic I described, but that is quite significant if it holds. Let's go to Pamela Brown at the voting desk. Let's jump to Wisconsin if we could, because Pamela wants to talk about Milwaukee and what's going on there. Pamela.
Yeah, I've been talking to officials there in Milwaukee County as well as the city. Let's look at Milwaukee County right now. A large portion of the vote that remains is from Milwaukee City itself. This is the largest county. This is the largest city in Wisconsin. According to a source in Milwaukee County, 9 out of 19 municipalities are completely reported. And the source also says that the county clerk there expects all results from Milwaukee County to be reported between 2 and 4 a.m. tonight, Central Time. So these results coming in overnight there from Milwaukee County. That is the expectation. Now, let's dive in here to the Milwaukee City. I just spoke to an official there. Milwaukee City has 27,724 mail-in ballots left to be counted so far. In addition, officials are still waiting for results from 4 wards still, and those would be the day of votes. So from election day. So there's still quite a bit to go to count tonight there in Milwaukee City. For context, 69% went for Biden in 2020. And as I mentioned, this is the largest county in Wisconsin. So we're keeping a close eye on this.
All right, Pamela, thanks so much. Let's take a look at Wisconsin as long as Pamela drove us here.
So a critical point she makes, 4 wards in the city of Milwaukee still have not reported their election day votes. And again, anecdotally, just texting people out in the state, they said turnout was good. They weren't saying great or gangbusters, they were saying good. So you wait. But again, so we're waiting for the city. This is Milwaukee plus the suburbs around it. The county is what you see here. But she's at 66% and Joe Biden's at 69%. So when those city of Milwaukee votes come in, that not only does that percentage need to move, but that math needs to change quite significantly if you're trying to make up that. Now, 96,000, that's better than 150,000, right? Simple math, people. We always say politics can be very complicated. Sometimes it comes down to basic arithmetic. Are there enough votes still out there to overcome a 96,000 vote lead? And so if Pam says 4 big wards are still out in Milwaukee City, there's a little bit more in Milwaukee County, the answer is maybe, right? Again, you're getting to the point where you're drawing to an inside straight flush, but maybe. So then you look around in other Democratic areas, and again, Eau Claire is getting 55% of the vote. I just want to compare that.
Same thing.
That's okay, a little better maybe, but it's not a ton of. It's just not a ton of people there. And you come down to La Crosse, you're looking at the blue areas. You're saying, is there anything? Not much left, right? It's not a huge swing anyway. So even if you pick up some votes, you're not picking up a ton there. So if you're looking at this map now, just want to check what's our percentage here. 95% in Dane County, and these other blue counties around it. I'll hit them for you. You just see they're pretty small population-wise. I mean, not tiny, but again, you're at 95% Rock County, 95% Greene County, 92% Lafayette County. That one is a little bit smaller. So again, the map's getting really hard if you're trying to figure out can Harris win back in Wisconsin. And I would say simply that it comes down to that, and those Milwaukee precincts that are out better be gangbusters.
May I do a personal prerogative? May I see the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania? We haven't checked in there in a while, and that's obviously a place near and dear to my heart. And I have questions about it. One of them is Allentown, which is blue right now. Allentown, the city of Allentown is 54% Latino, 54%, and Pennsylvania, as we've discussed, has the 3rd largest Puerto Rican population on the mainland, behind only New York and New York and Florida. So my question is, how is she doing in this Latino area compared to Joe Biden 4 years ago?
Again, cannot go granular just into the city of Allentown.
Right.
You can look at Lehigh County here, right? And I can already tell you, 51 to 48, if you're the Trump campaign, sure, you'd like to win it. But you're looking at 48% in Lehigh County, and you're feeling pretty good because you were 46 last time, right? And again, within a battleground state, you think margins within the margins, battlegrounds within the battleground. So, Joe Biden at 53% with 98,000 votes, the vice president at 50% with 93,000 votes. Now, we're not completely done there, but that 5,000 votes makes a big difference. It just does, right? So and that's there, right? So then you come out here and you come up, let's just move on up, right? Carbon County, look at this, Trump getting 73% of the vote. He's improved. That's one of the places he's overperformed himself. And then you move up here This is Lackawanna County, Scranton, Pennsylvania, Joe Biden's hometown. It's a tough, competitive blue-collar area, but 51 to 48 now, 54 to 45.
And if that movement
then,
of 4%
right,
can be the whole thing.
it's a couple thousand votes here, it's a couple thousand votes there. I want to show you
By the
something
way,
else.
can I just point out?
Erie has now flipped.
Erie, which has always voted with the presidential victor in Pennsylvania and nationally, is now with.
Let's flip, and let's see where the turnout is there. Again, it's one of the 25, they're at 95%. It's very close, but it's always very close. So you see Erie County, very close there. And I just want to come across the state, Northampton County. So you're on the, your Buffalo, New York border, and here's New Jersey here. You've got 52 to 47 there. Not done yet, but the two multi-pivot counties. Twice for Obama, then for Trump, then for Biden. At the moment, they're going back to Trump. I just want to show one more thing we haven't shown tonight. I just want to bring this up and bring this up. It's not here. It is here. No, it is here. Sorry. I will figure this out eventually. I promise you. I just have too many gizmos. Just want to come in here. Come on. I'll show you this. So let's go out nationally first. Everyone's been talking all night long about the headwinds. There'll be a lot of questions asked about this after the fact. This is not a good environment for any incumbent. Kamala Harris is the incumbent vice president. What this shows you is not votes. This shows you the darker the county, the more that county has been hit by inflation. Meaning, the darker the county, the more cost of living, energy prices, gas prices, housing prices in a lot of places have outpaced wage increases. Right? Try to find me. See the green?
Yeah, what does that mean?
That's the county where your wages have outpaced inflation. You can use it.
Set upside down, you're turning me. You're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you're turning me. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round. Instinctively, you give to me the love that I need. I cherish the moments with you. Respectfully, I say to thee, I'm aware that you're cheating, but no one makes me feel like you do. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round. I know you got charm and appeal. You always play the field. I'm crazy to think you're all mine. As long as the sun continues to shine, there's a place in my heart for you. That's the bottom line. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside out and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside out and round. Instinctively, you give to me the love that I need. I cherish the moments with you. Respectfully, I say to thee, I'm aware that you're cheating, but no one makes me feel like you do. Upside down, boy, you turn me inside and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me inside and round, upside down. Boy, you turn me.
They've been waiting to hear why the Fox News decision desk has not made that decision yet. A lot of things that they're looking at that make them excited. There's certain counties like Baldwin, which is an area that has usually votes pretty Democratic. That's an area that actually is now favoring Trump. It's also predominantly black, and it has 2 universities there. So the fact that that area is going for the former president probably says something about the young black vote and the young vote in general. You probably heard some cheering. That's because they have us up on the screen behind, and they heard us on because the people here, guys, they're waiting for you to make the decision because, like I said, at 10:30, they called it for Trump, but obviously still waiting on Fox News to make that official decision. Brett, Martha?
Yeah, Madison, area is really come around in recent years because they thought, the Harris campaign thought that they had a real shot in Georgia. We haven't called it yet. There's a reason for that. They're just waiting for other vote to come in. But there's an excitement there that they're finally going to get over the top.
Oh, absolutely. There is an excitement here. And we've been talking to folks on the ground. The fact that Georgia will most likely flip for former President Trump again. They've said things like, enjoy this moment. We worked hard for this. Enjoy the fact that we're bringing safety back to America. They're very happy that their candidate is probably going to take home the win here. And, I've been talking to voters on the ground for days now, and I got a lot of people that said they waited and they took time to make their decision, and ultimately it came out to Trump for them. So a very dedicated voting base here. And in this room, we're at the GOP watch party. Obviously, they're quite excited.
Yeah. All right, Madison, thank you so much. And by the way, there hasn't been a lot of count in Georgia in the last 45 minutes or so. So we'll see where that stands.
Get a look at that and see where it's going. But what about Tennessee, which we called a really long time ago? I know everyone's wondering what is happening in Tennessee, but Pete Hegseth can answer that question for us because he is in Nashville. Did you hear, Pete, that we called Tennessee?
A while ago.
With 0% of precincts reporting, yes, which I very much appreciate. And so did the crowd here. My kind of state. But I'm telling you, we're having a lot of fun. We're at Kid Rock's in downtown Nashville on Broadway. And behind me, I've got a lot of intelligent, independent women behind me who are really fired up about the outcome tonight. I mean, you guys are like John Madden and Pat Summerall calling a football game. Every call you make, this crowd erupts. And when they erupt, it is based on a call you're making. And it's been fascinating to watch the energy in the room increase as the odds have moved in favor of Trump winning. And we've been talking to voters all night. This is what I love about election night. You guys know this. You've got pundits, you've got polls, and on election night, the people speak. And the people here are watching this may be a bright red state where their vote doesn't necessarily matter in the Electoral College, but they're watching their fellow Americans cast ballots on behalf of a candidate they believe in. So a lot of energy, and I think represents a lot of living rooms where maybe families of 4 or 5 are chanting USA as you guys are bringing in the returns. A lot of hope that the former president will be 47. It's just a matter of when it might be called. So thanks for indulging us here on Fox Nation. We just wrapped our coverage, and you guys are doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you, Pete.
Thank
There's probably some good music down there, too.
Exactly. Say hi to everybody for us down there.
Maybe not New Edition, but something. Let's bring in our panel. Welcome back, Carl Rove, Jessica Tarloff, and Sandra Smith, and our regulars to the right. Sandra, great job looking into the Fox News voter analysis. What are you looking at?
All right, a few things. We haven't really talked about fracking in Pennsylvania, as we do wait on results to continue to come in there. Views on fracking. This is obviously key in the state, and we know that Kamala Harris flip-flopped on this issue. And so we're looking at how voters responded to that. 62% of Pennsylvania voters say that they favor expanding fracking in that state. Those voters backed Trump by more than 2 to 1. That was important to those voters. We'll see how that turns out. Another big difference, Michigan union voters, that vote is looking about the same with our Fox News voter analysis when we compare it to 2020. What might make the difference for Donald Trump in Michigan, white Catholics. Really interesting, he is at 61% of the vote with white Catholics. Harris is at 37%. Trump won white Catholics by 13 points in 2020. He has run that up to 24-point margin.
Wow.
That's a big difference in Michigan.
Difference.
That is a big difference.
And you wonder whether she should have gone to that dinner.
To the Al Smith dinner. She may be wondering that tonight. He showed up and gave his speech, and he has had a lot of support, mostly based on the pro-life issue.
Well, and RFK Jr. was cutting ads for the Catholic vote in particular in battleground states.
As far as sorry.
I was just going to say, I think, when you look at the margins, at least at this moment in Wisconsin and Michigan, I think somewhere in Florida, RFK Jr. may be breathing a sigh of relief because he could have been a spoiler in those, but it looks, at least at this point, like the margin is big enough.
I do think we have to bring up the youth vote again. I mean, what a difference we are seeing from 4 years ago. Those voters under the age of 30 going for Harris over Trump by 8 points. 4 years ago, they favored Biden by 25 points. I mean, this is a huge difference. And we dive in at the state level, you are seeing what a difference that makes where he is outperforming what we saw earlier leading into this in the polls.
And how crazy is that, that the younger candidate, you know, there was a lot of talk that a younger candidate would draw younger voters, but Joe Biden drew them in a larger numbers than she appears to have.
Carl, you've been on the back end of nights like this. You have been digging into the numbers. What board do you have for us now?
There you go.
Where we
Same
began.
one.
It all comes down to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania that goes for Trump will settle the contest. It'll be mathematically impossible for her to win.
So as you looked at tonight, what did you see as it unfolded?
You know, as it unfolded, a little bit of change. Earlier in the evening, it looked like he was doing slightly better in the big city urban areas. And in some suburbs, like in Georgia, he was not doing as well. But tonight in Pennsylvania, for example, he's doing better in all four of the southeastern suburban counties, as well as doing better in the rural parts of the state. And it is an unusual coalition. It's inner city ethnics, it's Catholics who have been for decades the principal swing vote in America, increasingly Hispanic voters among them. And he's knit together that coalition tonight, along with working class people in small towns and rural parts of the country.
If I could just add one data point from our FNVA on Pennsylvania on the white Catholics, it looks like Trump is running about 1 point, almost exactly the same as 2020. In fact, Trump's actually down 1 point with the white Catholics in Pennsylvania. So that's about the same. But Union voters, he's also seeing a down arrow there, about 3 points. He's running down below his 2020 levels.
So there's still hope for the blue wall for the Harris campaign. What are you hearing?
That there's still hope. Obviously, I didn't love to see the go take a nap and we'll get back to you in the morning about all of this, but we do have to keep in mind that the race in 2020 wasn't called for days, that Biden won Pennsylvania on Friday of that week and Wisconsin on Thursday, I think that it was. So we'll see. They think it's close, that there's vote coming in. There was, some conversation over how much of remaining vote in Philadelphia existed, and there was an extra 120,000-ish votes that were out there that could go into Harris's column. Two things, though, that I've been thinking about. One, and Dana knows this well, how much I love to throw out a good door knocking stat, right? So 2,000 door knocks a minute for the Harris campaign. Does any of that stuff matter anymore? And we'll see how this pans out. She could win with the simple route through. She already, getting Nebraska second, but the Harris campaign ran a conventional campaign, right? Where raising money, souls to the polls, that kind of stuff matters. Will that be the path going forward? The second thing is, if this night doesn't end up going in Harris's direction, and barring some big change, she will have underperformed Biden in 2020 in every single demographic except college-educated women. And even with college-educated women, it wasn't the overwhelming win that we thought it was going to be, or that was projected in some of these very prominent surveys. And when you think about the fact that there were some people, I didn't think we were going to win Iowa, but that we had seen surveys where he was only up 5 in Kansas or up 3 in Ohio. It's going to take a lot of refocusing to understand really what happened here. And it doesn't seem like it was one decision that the Harris campaign did. I'm sure if she loses Pennsylvania, there'll be a lot of Josh Shapiro discussion. This feels much bigger than any decision about having him on the ticket or going to the Al Smith dinner.
So, Carl, when Jessica just brought up a potential for 150,000 votes in Philadelphia County, I saw your head kind of spin around. Does that not make sense to you?
Well, no. I mean, we're pretty good at saying 89% of the vote is in, or 95% of the vote is in, and that not turning out to be, that turns out to be accurate. It's very rare. I can't imagine in one instance where we've looked at a number and seen 90% of the vote in or 85% of the vote in, and that turned out to be grossly off. I will say this, though. I do want to follow up on one thing. Think about all that she had to face. This is an abysmal number when it comes to the approval of the sitting president. No party has elected a president when they're sitting incumbent. The electoral college would serve the purpose of translating a relatively small difference between these two people. Look at Pennsylvania, 50.9 to 48.1. And yet at the end of the day, a series of victories of 1 and 2 and 3 points are going to generate a commanding number in the electoral college that will help the new president again, if it all goes like it looks like it's going, to be more effective in office.
Harold Ford is, are there going to be Biden people that say he could have been better?
You know, I think it's hard to make that case for some of the reasons that I think Britta and Carl have made the point. I think three things. I listen to Sandra's data. I'm curious, as we get a day or so away from this, as we look at what happened with the performance amongst women for her, did she win African American women, Hispanic women, white women at a bigger rate? Were there disparities between the two? And then the race thing for me, I'm going to be curious also to get more. We heard that the numbers around Hispanic voters, but even black voters, where that might be. And interestingly, Carl, normally we see a race where in the country where the cultural issues impact, as you were talking about the suburban areas, in some places he wasn't performing, and you see the suburban areas in Pennsylvania and elsewhere where the economic issues, fracking, and the livelihoods of those communities were at stake. Then you have the cultural issues. I think the issue around transgender rights was a bigger issue than Democrats that really understand what it meant and what it meant for girls playing sports. I'm a father with a son and a daughter, what it means if little boys are playing little girls sports and going to bathrooms. I don't think we've not gotten our head fully around that issue. So there's a lot of reckoning, and to Jessica's point, and I think a lot of reimagining who we are as a party, which I think will be good for the party if indeed the trend continues where it is this evening.
I'm not going to belabor this point, but for a candidate who Democrats who really were aggressive and media that echoed that called him racist and a Nazi, and yet today to see the black vote and the Hispanic vote going exponentially more than it did before is really quite something. I mean, it's just startling. Really.
Well, it's a further sign of the decline of the influence of the mainstream media, which tends to take its cues, to say the very least, from Democrats, and to repeat with serious faces the charges he made and the sometimes outlandish claims that he's made about Donald Trump.
We could be getting ready for a call here soon. We're going to stay here, and we're going to go to Bill Hemmer because you're looking at Pennsylvania. Bill, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, sorry, they were talking to me.
How come I always talk to you when they're talking to you?
Because of a lot that you said over here.
All right. So Pennsylvania, we're still looking at, but we're also looking at the national popular vote.
Yeah.
Which he's currently leading.
Yeah. One thing I was looking at here. Okay, this is Philadelphia. This is 2016. This is Trump's margin in Philadelphia, 15.5, okay? Then it comes back 4 years later, Philadelphia, that's where it's a Republican running in a blue part of the state. He's just shy of 18. Okay, so where is he today? He's almost at 21, okay? So hold on that moment here, okay? There's a reason for this.
Wow, that's a nice one.
Yeah, like that. You caught me off guard. So let's go ahead and look at the vote difference for Pennsylvania. Some things I want to show you right now. Now, we talked about this Democratic march over here. Really, when we talk about the blue wall, here's where we stand right now, okay? I reach higher than that.